There is a voice. You know the one. A tone no one would tolerate from another person, with unlimited access to you for as long as you can remember. Next, where that voice came from, what it was trying to do, and why the cruelest narrator in your head was never telling you the truth about yourself. First, unclench your jaw. Let your hands go soft. The voice we're about to talk about isn't invited here. First, the frame. The inner critic is not a character flaw, not weakness, not proof of being more broken than other people. It was installed, over time, by voices around you that treated you as you were, as a problem to be fixed. For some, it traces to one specific voice, a person, a tone. For others, a chorus, a family, a partner, a workplace, a culture. It can take hold early in life or years later. Where it came from matters less than learning to recognize it.
The critic has fingerprints, and once you recognize them, you stop treating it as fact. It goes straight to character. Not, that didn't go well. You always do this. The critic skips the event and reaches for your worth. It is timeless and global. It reaches for words like worthless, defective, beyond fixing. One moment becomes a lifetime verdict. And it borrows a phrase a family member used, a teacher's impatience, a culture's cruelty. The critic rarely invents. It runs old recordings. When you hear those fingerprints, add a quiet question. Whose voice is this, really? Not to answer it. The listening is the work.
When you depend on someone who can't truly meet you and can't easily be left, there's a bargain almost impossible to refuse. You take the criticism inside. It must be me. If I were better, this would stop. Carrying the defect yourself keeps the other person safe to need. That silent trade, deciding the problem is you, is the seed of the critic. It can happen to a child who can't leave home, and just as easily to an adult who can't yet leave a relationship. The critic was once a survival strategy, a frightened protector that took the job to keep a bond intact and was never told it could set the role down. These are the lines. You've heard them, in the particular tone that arrives at the worst moments. You're too much. Not a truth about you, a message absorbed from surroundings that couldn't meet you. You'll ruin it. Not a forecast, a fear that lived in the room around you, stored inside for safekeeping. Who do you think you are? Not a question, a silencing tactic, borrowed, worn smooth by years of repetition. Not your voice, a voice you learned.
Others who have walked this back say it plainly. That voice you call yours, you learned it. It was never the truth about you. You can hear it and still know it is not the final word on who you are. The critic doesn't sound afraid. It sounds certain, contemptuous. The surface message is just the verdict. It says, don't speak, don't try, don't take up space. These arrive dressed as facts about your worth. One layer down, almost every cruel sentence is a protection statement in disguise, trying to spare you the hurt that came before. The harshness is not the message, it's the delivery system. Underneath, I am trying to keep you safe. I want to set something down gently, right here. Carrying a voice this harsh for this long can wear a person all the way down. And sometimes when that weight gets heavy enough, darker thoughts come with it, even thoughts of not wanting to be here at all. If that's where you've been, even once, you don't have to hold that part alone. In the US, you can call or text 988 any hour. You can also text HOME to 741-741. A real person will answer quietly, and they are there for exactly this. If you're in a relationship right now where you are being harmed, physically, financially, emotionally, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-7233 or thehotline.org. They understand that the voice inside and the voice outside can sometimes be the same situation. All right, the reclaiming part comes next. The inner critic lives in thought, your own voice running old recordings. Some people hear something different, voices from outside that others can't hear, separate from thinking altogether. That's a different kind of experience. A clinician is the right person to assess it, and bringing it to one is exactly the right call. The work here is for the internalized voice, the one that sounds like you and might never have struck you as learned at all. You cannot shout the critic down. It comes back louder. You shrink it by changing your relationship to it. Stop consulting its statements as reports. When it says you are a failure, that is not information. Don't disprove it, just decline to take it at face value. Give it a costume, the critic, a name, a tired old supervisor. Once the voice has a label, there is a listener who is not it. I hear the critic. I am not it. Replace harsh with true and kinder. Not cheerful, just true. In the tone you'd use with someone you love. I had a hard moment in a hard situation. I did what I could. Truer than the critic, and warm enough to be received. The goal is not to never hear it again. A voice woven in for years doesn't vanish. It shrinks. Less often, less loud, less long. The room gets bigger than the voice. Not silence, but spaciousness.
The critic has been living like it owns the place. Every room, every decision, every ordinary Tuesday. Ownership was never the deal. It moved in uninvited. A tenant can be loud. A tenant can be persistent. A tenant does not get to be you. A tenant can say the cruelest things, even that you'd be better off gone. That is the tenant talking. It is not a verdict, and it is not the landlord. You are the landlord of your own interior, even on the days it was hardest to believe. Everything here helps you work with the critic. It does not make the wound smaller. And some seasons, the weight is too much to manage alone. If the critic is running most of your day, narrowing what you're willing to try, or bringing thoughts that go somewhere darker, bring in a licensed trauma therapist. That isn't losing the fight. It is giving the repair the right hands. Complex trauma responds to treatment. The part of you that built this voice deserved someone to meet it then. You deserve someone to meet it now.
If you take one thing, the cruelest narrator in your head is not the most accurate one. Not neutral, not objective, not even meaningfully your own opinion. An old recording, played loud by a part of you that once needed it and has not been told it can stop. You don't have to argue with it today. Only notice that it has a name, and the name is not you. Next season, After the Storm, begins with a question survivors don't get asked. Why just move on was never real advice. Subscribing means it finds you. You stayed with 6 hard things. You ask the question, whose voice is this really? And that question, asked even once, is the first crack in the wall. The voice isn't done talking, but neither are you.